absolutely ridiculous. They'll believe anything. They'll believe anything. Maybe. To start this next segment, I want to share a lesson that my mom often told me when I was growing up. And it always stuck with me. She said, think about that feeling. I always say, what feeling? And she said, you know, that feeling when something bad happens and you think, what if? You know, what if I hadn't done that one thing, right?
Yeah.
And she always said to me, like, think about that. Think about
The
in those
regretting,
moments
or
that
like,
when you have
what
that,
if?
when you're able to have that choice, right? Just think about that feeling when you know that you could have avoided that thing and you didn't do it. And, you know, I think that it's been a very, very valuable lesson for me about being proactive and being forward thinking. You know, and sometimes you can actually avoid a bad thing from happening, and sometimes you have that thought before and you know you possibly shouldn't do it. And it's just that whole idea of also like certain types of regret that you'd actually rather avoid. So yeah, we're going to get into this and you'll see why I'm talking about this in a minute. But before we do that, Abby, what should we do?
请大家帮我们按赞、分享、订阅。
Yeah, you know,
点小铃铛。
give that thing a little tappy. Take any finger and just
Any
tap that
finger.
button for us, right? And even better, share one of our videos with a friend. It would be fantastic. We'd really appreciate it. So, and at some point, somewhere in the video here, that's it, right? You will see a link to the video about why we do this channel and what our idea is. Yeah, and you can learn about us. So anyway, I mean, let's get to this. The reason I wanted to talk about this, you might have already heard about it. But there was a comedian, a stand-up comedian in America recently. And in a way, it's funny, but it's also like something that we shouldn't laugh at. But
I don't really watch the video yet. I just heard about the story.
So just to give people a little bit of an intro to this, it's a stand-up comedian, and she was on the stage talking about being vaccinated. So let's have a quick watch. Okay, so here it is here, right?
I want you to know, double vaxxed, booster, flu shot, and I'm going to be honest, I have the shingle shot too. And I still get my period. What? Yes! Traveled, went to Mexico twice, did shows, meet and greets, never got COVID. Clearly, Jesus loves me the most. Seriously. So nice. So nice.
Boom. Okay, so as I said, you kind of feel like you want to laugh when you watch it because of what she'd been saying. It was pretty sad. People thought that the end part when she fainted was
part of the show.
Was part of the show. Yeah, when it actually wasn't. And that's what made me think about that advice that my mom had given, right? Like you got to be a little bit careful about the stuff that you say, the things that you do. So, I mean, what is she doing? She was showing off and saying, oh, look at me. You know, I had all these vaccinations. I'm still cool. Jesus loves me. And then that happened. And apparently she really hurt herself because she hit her head. And I think she had like black eyes and everything and stuff.
Oh, my.
And now I want to show you the next video. It's her talking to someone, and I think she's feeling that feeling my mom was always warning me about.
Okay,
right?
so after the fainting, okay.
And I did get the booster, which I had double Pfizer and Moderna booster, 3 weeks to the day of the fall. Is there anything that you've seen about time-wise? Because, you know, when I asked the doctors about that, they said, oh, normally... Okay, go ahead. 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks is where you see a lot of this stuff. I have a friend that got the booster, and he got really destroyed by it. He still can't walk across the room. He's having all kinds of symptoms. There's a lot of funny stuff. We don't really know what it all is and where it's coming from, but it's still worth doing it. I'm not at the point where I'm saying that it's still worth the risk.
Okay, so you can see there that I think she's actually now blaming the booster for her fainting. And you heard there that the guy said like 2 to 3 weeks, which I think is also an interesting number because I know from when the people would get like heart problems and stuff, if it doesn't happen to you pretty quickly, I think they don't count. They don't say it was related to having a vaccine. But now you see there that people are saying, yeah, like around 2 to 3 weeks after having it, some people have some pretty crazy problems. But we're not saying that we know how often or how many. It's just from what we saw there, right?
Just you can hear some people sharing their experience, and it's gonna happen more and more.
Yeah.
Just one day, I went to the toilet in our company, and I heard some woman talk about vaccine. She said she did the booster when I think it's near her period. After that, she felt like her period is like a mess. And even she felt like she has the symptoms about the myocarditis, 心肌炎. But it's like a mild symptoms. Probably it's not true.
Very
anyway,
mild.
Huh?
Very mild symptoms.
Because she dilated, so maybe it's not really strong, right? Okay. So I just, that's not the first time I heard like a woman have a period problems after vaccine.
I think a lot of people, right?
Yes, I think and sometimes I watch I follow some influencer on Instagram, and the woman she's very fit. She exercise and eat healthy and do the meditation for a very long year. So she looks really, I think, younger and healthy. But after she took the vaccine, she feel like even like 1 or 2 months, she feels something wrong. Just the hormone thing, just flow and just make her body not in the right place.
And I told you about my ex-wife. Like she had the heart. She said like her heart was beating all fast for weeks afterwards. Really, really worried about getting the second one, because I think more people have problems after the second one. So I think if you've had that first one and you already feel that, you're going to be pretty worried, right?
Yeah.
And also losing their hair. I know personally, I know at least 5 women who are losing their hair, because I go to have that laser I told you about to keep my hair nice, and I've sent at least 5 women to that same clinic recently because their hair's falling out, And I'm not saying I know it's from the vaccine or not. I mean, I know the one girl, it definitely isn't, so I'm not including her. But all the other ones, I think it's from the vaccine.
I also heard from my coworkers, they say, he said his wife also don't want to take second dose because
her hair is falling out.
Her hair is falling off. Maybe because of the pregnancy or something else, but it just, maybe the feeling is much stronger after the vaccine, so she feel uncomfortable to take that, and so
possibly, right? So I mean, going back to this woman, right? I mean, it's really strange that you go on the stage and then you like talk about it, and some people have put a religious thing because she's like, Jesus loves me more, and that's when it happened. Maybe Jesus was saying, well, hey, be careful what you say, right?
Oh my God.
But shame for her, right? Because I guess that she's living that feeling that my mom was saying, right? Because boosters, vaccines, and now you experience something. And I've seen a lot of people like this, right? Like we showed that one video once with the father whose son died, and he was saying, I trusted the government, I trusted the people said it was safe. And I think some people only wake up to this once the negative impacts them or somebody close to them. And that's not really being that forward thinking, right? So I'm confused. I think when people see anti-vaxxers, if you can call them that, I don't like the word, but when you see somebody talking about it and saying, hey, look, it might not be the best thing, or sharing some information, I think people sometimes get angry with those people.
No.
But I don't get why they should be angry, because if you're sharing that information, how does it benefit you? It doesn't benefit you at all. You're just trying to let people know and say, hey, listen, maybe there's a risk. Maybe you don't know everything. Maybe people aren't telling the truth about this. And as time has gone on, more of the conspiracy theories have become conspiracy facts. I just saw this morning on YouTube, so I'm not saying that I know this for a fact, but it was a doctor on YouTube showing a new study in the JAMA Medical Journal that said the risk of myocarditis for young men is like 133 times higher than the average. Okay. Again, I'm not saying it's true, but I watched that video this morning. So that kind of information wasn't out before.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not that people were lying. Maybe people just didn't know. That's been the whole idea, right? That it's experimental and we just don't know.
I just don't know. Sometimes to feel sorry about those people if they feel their life really be affected or I don't think not everyone are. I feel like maybe they don't feel like the people who don't take vaccine are bad. They probably just they make some decision. Maybe I should take vaccine anyway. But the side effect happen on them is still really bad. You know, just like it's like for the thing we always have a different option or choice. But after they make the choice, they suffer from that. They really believe what the doctors or what the hospital or the government said, and what happened on them. I feel really sorry.
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
It's not about vaccine. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Sure. So there was another reason why I wanted to talk about my mom, because something else I've told you about me is that my father died when I was 3 months old when my father died.
Okay.
And he died at 34.
Oh, he's really
very, very young. And to be honest with you, I know my mom loved my father very deeply. I don't think, now I'm 43 years old, so he's been dead for I'm almost 43, so about 43 years. But I don't think she ever really got over that. I think it's affected her for the rest of her life.
Okay.
In so many ways. I don't even think I can really understand. I know how it obviously affected me not having my real father alive. But I've seen the deep sadness that's within my mother for that.
Oh.
And I've also heard the stories of the day he died. And, it's really, really terrible to hear that kind of story. And the reason that I wanted to talk about that and the lesson she said to me is because of these other people I came across recently. So a 34-year-old father called Brandon Watt dies from myocarditis after vaccination. And he's got a 2-year-old. He had a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old daughter. And now they lost their father. So, yeah. So the 34-year-old father, Brandon Watt, dies from this after the vaccination. You can see what his wife said. She's like, what fucking research? We are the research. All right. So, yeah, and you can see a picture of him. This is him here. 2 little girls and a wife. And they'll never know. They'll never have their dad again. How sad is that, right?
Oh.
Yeah, and apparently he was a very, very healthy guy. I mean, we can have a look at it here. Let's see what we can find. So according to Johns Hopkins Medicine, it's a rare form of myocarditis. Okay. And apparently, here it is here. The official finding of the autopsy states his entire heart was fully attacked, damaged from top to bottom. So myocarditis, I've also heard that the one doctor was talking about the iditis part of the end means inflammation, like the whole heart was inflamed. And you can get myocarditis from COVID, but they said it here, right? Brandon did not have COVID because his work supplied rapid tests and they'd done several throughout summer and fall. So he'd never had COVID and he was a healthy guy. So they're saying the virus that killed him was likely the mRNA vaccine. So obviously, we're not saying we know what killed this guy, but I don't think 34-year-old people just drop dead. I mean, the reason my father died was of a heart attack because of hereditary, blood, the sickness. And at that time, I don't think the doctors had been giving him the right medical advice about diet. And I think that actually what they'd been telling him to eat was making it worse. And he also smoked. And I think my real father said that if he can't eat what he wants to eat, why should he live? So he had a very strange way of looking at the world, I think, in a way, or maybe a right way, who knows. But yeah, I know why he died. But for this particular guy, I don't really get it. Why would a 34-year-old guy's whole heart be attacked completely from the entire heart, right? So I mean, this is pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
Really made me think. So another person is going to go through this, right? Having to raise her 2 daughters without the father, and the 2 daughters are going to grow up without their dad. I mean, we've talked before about the effects of growing up without a father in the home, and how much that affects you and stuff.
That's a new challenge for them.
Yeah, and the one thing that was interesting for me is that I think that they said somewhere, I want to see if I can find where it is, but they said something about they themselves weren't people who believed anything bad about the vaccine. Like when they heard other people talking about it and stuff, they didn't quite understand that. So they said like, hold on, I'm going to have a look and see. I think this is it here. No, that's the same one. I think it's this here. Yeah, here. So let's have a look.
The same story about different media.
Yeah, it's a different website. And apparently, they also, it was very hard for them to get the information. Apparently, to get the results of the autopsy, it was quite a big struggle for them to get it. And they said when they eventually gave the cause of death, it shocked both the local coroner and the family doctor, who would have known this guy pretty well, right? Yeah, his entire heart was damaged. He didn't have COVID. And then she says it here it is. She says, until November the 5th, I was a sheep. I fully admit that. Brandon and I both believed strongly in the vaccine, and we would roll our eyes at protesters, conspiracy theorists, and anti-vax posts on social media. So they looked at people sharing this kind of information, and they were like, yeah, come on, blah, 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 this isn't true and everything, But then she said, November 5th onward, my eyes have been opened. I owe this to Brandon, to share what I believe killed him. What did kill him? What left their daughters without their daddy? To open all of your eyes. So again, I'm not saying that anybody knows for sure. But were people warning about this stuff? Yes. Did they hear the warnings? Yes, she just said it, right? She said that she heard people talking about it and rolled her eyes. And like so many other people, once now it finally happens to you, now all of a sudden you have that feeling that my mom had mentioned, that feeling of regret, right? And I kind of agree with what this woman says. Actually, I believe in science. I think you believe in science, right? But science doesn't seem to be that cut and dried. There seem to be issues with science and politics mixed into science. But now look at her. I will never, ever vaccinate my children or myself against COVID-19. So some people believe that people being hesitant to get vaccinated is a problem. You're creating that problem. How many more people, when this is all over, are going to not like vaccines?
Yeah.
So it just seems so silly, right?
What does she say? We know nothing about the long-term effects of this vaccine.
I've heard doctors say that to me.
If you think you do, you don't.
Yeah. And I've heard doctors say the same thing to me privately, right? So how can you know until the long-term studies come out?
Yeah. How can you know? Normally, the vaccine will monitor over 10 years.
Yeah.
But right now, it's only 1 year. And
sure.
Do the things.
Yeah. So, I mean, like people hear people warning about these things. And like, roll your eyes. It's so interesting that she said, roll your eyes. Why roll your eyes? Because if someone's sharing that information, again, as we said it, right, what is their benefit? There's no benefit. The only thing you get is people look at you like you're an idiot. So you actually lose by sharing information. And then you're trying to help people, or they roll their eyes at you until something bad happens. And then now they start to wake up when it's too late. They can't get him back.
She's not the only one, because I also heard lots of people, when they heard about a conspiracy, they also roll their eyes. I said, how come? You cannot just, you don't just believe vaccine. You even see the vaccine have some IC chips, and you were put inside, because some people's narrative is more radical. So like the anti-vaccine, because they think the vaccine is the government try to control the people. They think they'll put the IC chips into the vaccine and shoot into your bodies anyway. So they feel, that's nonsense. They don't really believe why the anti-vaccine.
I mean, I don't think that would be nonsense. I mean, anything can be possible. It just depends on what percentage could it be possible. So something like that might have a terribly low possibility rate, but it still is possible. And like, have governments experimented on people before? Yes. Have vaccines hurt people before?
Yes.
So why is it that out there to think that something that has happened before could happen again? We're not saying that this is happening now, but how would you know? But that's why this conspiracy theory, these two words, this term is so dangerous, because let's say somebody wants to listen and somebody else next to them says, it's a conspiracy theory.
Or is it label them,
all of a sudden, they'll stop listening because they worry what other people think. They worry that, you believe in conspiracy theories. But hey, sometimes we've seen they become fact.
Because people think that conspiracy is a negative word.
Well, it's conspiracy theory. And actually, from what I've read, that was done by the CIA. Apparently, after the JFK assassination, there was a big distrust in government and the FBI. And this was their response to create this term, conspiracy theory, and use it to label things. And then people will kind of run away from that. So now, even if you've got great information about a real, true conspiracy, someone calls it a conspiracy theory, people automatically won't believe you. Smart, right? For bad people to do that. Yes.
But you can see how people play with it, right? It just label you. Maybe when you talk about the side effect about vaccine, it's a really normal discussion. Everything has its benefits and the risk.
Sure.
So when you talk about the side effect, it's like a normal thing. It should be talk about any medicine has its side effect. But when they talk about vaccines, it's a relative vaccine. They label it as a conspiracy.
Sure.
All of a sudden, their narratives is unbelievable.
Sure. And that, when I hear that, that's a red flag for me, right? Because if it's science, the nature of science is to question and to test again and keep checking. And if all of a sudden you're saying, no, we shouldn't check that, or that's a lie, it's a red flag. Because if you've got nothing to hide, you say, test it, man. Test this vaccine, test this medicine, whatever you want. I know it's true. I know it's good. You can run as many tests as you want. You're not going to find anything. I'm confident. But if you're telling me, no, don't test it, don't talk about it, you're not allowed to say it, it makes me think you're hiding something.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be scared of the truth.
You want to hide something.
Yeah. Right? Like if you truly believe in your facts and that it will be right, you'll have no problem letting anybody discuss it or test it or anything.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. So shame, right?
Yeah.
Really, really sad to see that guy
so
with
sorry.
his kids and everything. That's a real tragedy. So my heart goes out to that family, especially as someone who had the similar kind of thing, right? I know what they're going to go through. So really, really sad.
Hope they can.
Yeah, I hope they have a lot of support.
Yeah.
Right, so it was another good Saturday afternoon. We did four different topics today, right?
Yeah.
Nice after the break.
Nice.
Yeah. Right,
Okay.
so please give us a like, share, subscribe, ask us a question, give us a comment, anything you want, right? We can be wrong. We're wrong. I'm wrong all the time. I love being wrong. It helps me to get better. So if someone could show me I'm wrong, why not, right? So,
Okay.
And we'll be back
Yeah.
with you guys next week.
Yeah, next week.
Okay? Right, bye-bye.
Bye.